Good morning. I decided to do some videos to add to Collage of Health. The Collage of Health is a platform that I put together back at the end of 2021. And it was my hope and dream to put together a platform that provided horizontal picture of control, horizontal picture of how we could access health without going to a practitioner. And it was not intended to be in lieu of or instead of a practitioner, but it was intended to support you when you're not at the doctor's office or nurse practitioner, PA, or whatever office. So I had this grand design of this platform, and I invited practitioners who were providers, but who also had a passion for offbeat practices where they not only did the allopathic or conventional practice, but also provided the extra. And I thought this could be the place for the extra that they provide. And to make a story shorter, it's been pretty much a colossal failure in getting this launched. And the biggest takeaway for me is just live, just do whatever you want to do, and don't worry about if it works or doesn't work. Just keep going in whatever direction your passion calls for you to go in. So Collage of Health still exists. It's an LLC. Right now it has a few very inactive members. I was going to do a project, a course that didn't take off. And that was almost like a beautiful thing, because in some ways, I don't think I really wanted to do it. I just felt this need to push the portal forward. And I put money into trying to get this course launched, and it didn't work. And now I'm moving in a different direction, going back to school and such. But what I decided to do is to make videos about what I'm passionate about. And one of the things that I'm passionate about right now is the importance of understanding that this platform we're on, this platform we call life, is really just a pruning ground for the soul. And it's not that it doesn't matter what we do or don't do. It doesn't matter, how we treat people, because it does, of course. It matters if we're enhancing our beingness or if we're not enhancing our beingness. And we do things that aren't very nice or aren't kind. And in no way is that enhancing our beingness. And when we do recreational things that are fun in the moment, but then make us feel like crap the next day, it's not enhancing our beingness. So one of the takeaways that I've had over the last few years is it's important to recognize that this material platform is just a practice ground, a teaching ground for the soul. And I definitely knew that before, on a very theoretical level. But now I know it on a empirical level because I've experienced it over the last few years. A couple of years ago, I had a experience where I where I invited my former husband to go on a cross-country journey with me and our newly adopted dog. and the dog was sick. And my husband at the time and I had, work obligations. And we had a van. It didn't have air conditioning. It didn't have a bathroom. It was just a van that was made into a, those living vans or whatever they're called. I'm forgetting the name, but you know what I'm talking about. And so we journeyed across the country, and it was difficult. Like we went to a lot of places, but we really couldn't leave the dog in the car by himself because it was really hot out, and he wasn't feeling well, so he didn't sleep at night, and he was kind of snappy because of that. And even when all of that negative came through, my husband and I were fighting at times because we weren't supposed to be working, and he'd get mad at me because I was working, and I'd get mad at him because he wasn't working, because he was working. And still, it was like one of the most profound experiences of our lives. And I think he would probably say the same too. It was just so neat being in this van and traveling cross country. And it was during 2020, and things were even closed. And even then, it was magnificent. And I got back, and I was just not ready to go back to life the way it was. I loved my private practice. I had a practice that I practiced both conventional and alternative, complementary, whatever you want to call it, medicine in addition to. And I loved my clients, and but I didn't want to tell people what I thought they should do anymore in the way that I was doing it. I didn't want to be responsible for their health, and I felt responsible for their health. And I didn't want to do something that was mainly plugged in because of money. So, yeah, I decided to really do a vision quest. But before the vision quest, I decided to ask Spirit if I could step away and not be here anymore, do the work, the spiritual work on the other side, and just kind of bypass this material plane. And, I wasn't suicidal, but I wasn't really digging being here. And a dog, as soon as I, in my mind, asked the question, as I was walking my dog, another dog flew in our face. And I took it as a hell no. You're here. You're doing this work here. And then I said to myself, well, if I'm doing it here, I'm not happy. I need to make some changes. So it just kind of was a week of feeling into that. And then I had another profound experience. And I don't know if you've watched The Stand or read the book by Stephen King, where good and evil come together. It's kind of like the book of Revelations, kind of what it feels like we're in right now, at least for some of us. And Randall Flagg was the antagonist's name in the book. And I had this journey, this kind of a dream state where he came in, kind of maybe tempting me to leave. And I said no. And I got up to go to the bathroom. And we were working with the dog. We didn't know he had an ear infection, and he was whining all night. And the trainer said, bring him into your room. Maybe he has some anxiety, like, separation anxiety. Tether him to the bed so he doesn't walk around all night. And I tripped. And I don't know if I tripped on the leash. I don't know if I tripped on the marriage chest that we had just brought back in our room. But I went down really hard without even realizing I had tripped. Maybe somebody pushed me. I don't know. Maybe my guides pushed me. It felt like that. And I hit the chest, and my tooth lodged on the roof of my mouth. And the dentist, we tried calling the dentist, and the dentist didn't call back. And I wasn't willing to go to the ER. And I said to my husband, As I'm in the bathroom with one tooth looking very much like a witch, bleeding. I didn't realize it, but the bone of my mouth was broken. I told my husband, go back to bed. And I looked in the mirror and I said, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want from me, Spirit? And I didn't get an answer, but I took my lodged tooth and snapped it back in place and went back to bed. And the dentist called the next day and braced the mouth, and the tooth was fixed, and it all worked out. And then my life unraveled, and every facet of my life pretty much unraveled. My marriage ended, friendships ended. I quit my job. I closed my practice. I bought property. I lived out in this remote area for a year and a half, which was incredibly hard and incredibly beneficial and lonely. And then I sold that. I started Collage of Health, and that didn't work out. And here I am. And I'm not as unhappy today as I was that day that I took the walk. As a matter of fact, I would say I'm pretty happy. And so I guess why I'm leaving this video is to say to you, it's really not the externals that count. It's how the externals fuel the development of the internals that matter. And if we are caught in the minutia of the material is it, then I would be pretty darn depressed right now. I'm going into, I think, another phase of expansion, but that might not happen. That's what I'm hoping happens. But I actually am okay if it doesn't. I'm okay if my life is just sleepy and quiet. And if it is sleepy and quiet and I want it not to be, I'll add to it. I'll figure it out. Maybe by doing things like this. So if you're listening, thanks for listening. This, again, is not medical advice. Maybe I didn't say that. This is not medical advice. Go to your practitioner for that. This is just soul advice. So have a good day.